Friday. Welcome to my channel, Handmade by Hannah. I'm Hannah. So glad you're here sharing this time with me. So if you've been following the shorts that I've been posting over the last few days, you have noticed that I am working on a pretty spectacular evening gown. And I am very, very happy with how it has turned out. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, it is done! Yay! And I am so, so happy with it. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, actually most of what we're going to talk about today, is that dress. I wanted to share a little bit about where it started from, where it ended up. So first off, when I started, well, first off, I should say I'm a huge fan of Gertie, Gretchen Hirsch. She has Charm Patterns website and her whole Patreon platform. You've seen the society dress that I was working on, and I will show you finished video of that in a couple of days. And so I wanted to do something out of one of her books, and in fact I have all 4 of her books, so I feel like my collection is complete, and I've learned so much from each of those books. So there is some crossover in them as far as some of the fitting stuff. That's just normal, you know, regular fitting stuff, but there has been something new in each of these books. Plus the patterns are, you know, a little bit different, and she does set them up so that they are kind of plug and play. So you can take each of the pieces and for the most part make them work together. So you have bodices that you work together with a midriff and work together with different types of skirts, and you know, you got different types of sleeves and stuff like that. So these books I highly recommend them if you really like kind of that vintage look, 40s, 50s, and plus you get all sorts of different bodices. The one that I'm working on is actually, so this dress started out as this. So the idea that I wanted was the surplus bodice, which crosses over in the front. So you got that nice deep V with big sleeves and a long, somewhat A-line skirt. I didn't want a big, huge skirt, mainly because the fabric that I started with was a really lovely purple satin that I'd gotten from a yard sale a couple of years ago. And it'd been sitting in my stash looking at me going, I need to be made into something. So I was like, well, you know, I think this wedding that we've been invited to would be a really good thing to start with, to do that for. And so, but it was a nice color, but I didn't want to wear it just by itself. So I was looking for a lace that would go along with that. And so I'd already decided on this style of dress. So the crossover bodice with a midriff and then a nice A-line skirt. So, and it was going to be floor length and long sleeves. Now I only had 4 yards of the satin, so my options were limited. So I'm like, well, maybe do I want to do sleeves with that, or do I want to do it sleeveless? Keep in mind that I'm going to be wearing it in the middle of winter. It is not warm outside. So I wanted to find something that would be somewhat wintry, but also not compete with the bride. That is one thing that I definitely am trying not to do, because as the maker of the dress, I am a strong authority on the fanciness of her dress. So I'm pretty sure I'm not crossing that line. If I am Megan, I'm really, really sorry. But I know your dress is very, very fancy. Speaking of which, the wedding is on Saturday, so the dress that I made will be I'll be able to do a whole workup on that and show you the process, walk you through that, and pictures and videos of the dress in action and everything. And it turned out really, really nice. So this dress needed quite a bit of working to make it fit. So I drew off the pattern, and the first iteration I just did it straight as, other than lengthening the midriff part, because I knew I needed that for the length of my torso. Definitely was not going to fit the length that it was. So this is what I started out, well, mostly this is the pattern piece that I started out with. This wasn't here because the shoulders were like you see, they were like an inch over, and but it had all the pleats and gathers, or pleats and dart at the bottom and everything. So it just started from the beginning and put it together, and it didn't fit. So I think it fit around, but I knew that there probably wasn't going to be enough for the cup size, enough in the enough cup size for my boobs. Let's put it that way. And so, but that gave me a starting place about where to fix and what needed to be fixed in the fit. So one thing I noticed that it was pulling like right across, right under the bust area there. It was pulling in the center. So there was like this weird gathering kind of bobble thing. So I needed to fix that. So my second one, I kind of rounded out. I rounded out the bottom, didn't even do the pleats. I did gathers instead. And so the second time, and then moved that, because it was like literally falling off my shoulders. And I adjusted the back as well. So then I took so I had the gathers, but they had put them initially in the wrong place. So the second time I did the bodice, it fit a little bit better. There was some more room in the bust area, but the gathers were in a weird spot, and I was still getting that weird pull in the center. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be smooth. So knowing what I did on where that was supposed to hit and how that was supposed to go, I adjusted the center front. And so on my second one, I actually traced off a new one and moved the gathers over. And so this ended up being kind of the new bodice piece. This wasn't on there yet, so this was the third time. And so the center front, I have, brought it out a little bit more to the point and smoothed that line out right there. Made this a much smoother line along here, enough room in the bust up to the side. And then tried it on again, and the same issue was happening. The back was getting a little bit, oh, that's the other one. So the back needed some work too at this point, because I noticed that the boat neck back, because that's what the bodice part also went with, was way too wide. And so it was still slipping off and everything. Even though it wanted to pull up here, it was pulling off in the back. So you can see some of my changes on that and everything. So this was the back 2.0. I added an inch along the side, but then brought in the neckline. So it wasn't quite, and it wasn't gaping, because there was a good like 2 or 3 inches when I put it on, when I got it mostly done, good 2 to 3 inches in the back. And when I got the zipper on for the first time, it was like, whoa, yeah, I don't want that happening. So I had to take a whole bunch out of the back there. But you can see the big difference between the two. You can see even here, that much was taken out of the neck. Moved the darts a little bit, and because, of course, when you move stuff at the neck, things change the bottom. So the back ended up really good. And then fourth iteration of the bodice, that third time that I did it, I noticed it was it was, because I was focusing on the other fit now that I'd fixed some other stuff. It was way too low and very revealing. And I wouldn't have been able to wear any of the bras that I have without them showing, along with a significant amount of cleavage, which for me, a little bit of cleavage is good, but not that much. I'm not into showing off the ladies, especially since we are going to be with a lot of people that we go to church with. So a little bit inappropriate. So I needed to fix that, make a little more coverage over the top here. And so that's when I added this piece right along here, added about an inch along that top curve there, down to the point, and then put it all together again for the fourth time, and things seemed to work really good. There was like a couple of teeny tiny adjustments that I made to the pattern between that last toile and the final cut of the fabric and everything, because it is, but they were like tiny enough to be not, I knew I wouldn't have, they were tiny enough, I knew it would work, that they wouldn't have to do that. So anyway, this was my final toile, and all in muslin and everything. I'm not going to put it on because it's it's pretty skimpy. But I wanted to test out the sleeves, make sure the sleeves fit and everything. And yeah, everything seemed to work really good. I turned, you know, did a stay stitch along the neckline, and so that I wouldn't have the pulling because it is on the bias, and folded it over so I knew what my seam line would be along there. So that worked out good. And sometimes for the sake of what you want, you've got to do a lot of pre-work, and I'm glad I did, because as you saw, the dress fits amazingly and I'm very, very happy with it. So I actually do have it here, so I'm going to show you some details real quick. So one of the things that this lace I found at Joann's, and it is just gorgeous. It's a, you know, kind of a embroidery, sequins and cord embroidery on a net. And I call it a lace because it's see-through and it's very light and everything. Did just plain cuffs at the bottom, with little rouleau loops on the buttons. Other than that, oh, and I lined it in a beautiful, silk charmeuse, and it's nice and soft. And just the bodice is lined, nothing else is lined, because it's actually a pretty heavyweight satin, and so I don't want to be too warm, especially since there's going to be dancing. So very excited about that. Anyway, very happy to be able to wear this and get it all done. So that about wraps up my week. Pretty much that was what I was focusing on this week. Had plenty of time to get it done. I felt like nothing super serious happened. I was up pretty late last night finishing up the hem, but I'm glad I did. That way I could focus on other things today. So anyway, I hope that you are working on something fantastic in your creative life, whatever that may be. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.